So the rumors were right. There was a Mario 35th Anniversary Direct, and it had some of the things we expected, as well as some complete surprises. So we're here to give our overall thoughts beyond what we did in our live stream already, plus we had basically the whole crew here, to talk about everything we just saw. And that includes a new Game & Watch, a color Game & Watch with Super Mario Bros. 1, as well as the Lost Levels, in addition to some pretty cool Easter egg-based clocks that display on the screen when you're not playing a game, like a Game & Watch. So that looked neat. We have Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, which combines an RC car with an augmented reality race you play on the Nintendo Switch itself, and that looks just all kinds of nuts. Then we have Mario All-Stars coming to Nintendo Switch Online. We have Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario 3D World, plus Bowser's Fury, which appears to be basically a port of the original game, plus a new mode that they barely showed anything of, so we don't really fully know what's going on there, but we do know that it has online of some kind, though we don't know what at this point. And then they also announced, of course, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, what seemed to be the star of the show, but it didn't seem to have the attention I was hoping it would get in terms of feature set, because it looks to be basically just mildly upgraded ports of the original games, now running in HD and widescreen, except for Mario 64, which is still in 4:3. So overall, let's give our overall impressions. For me, I liked everything about this. I was just a little bit disappointed by the 3D Mario All-Stars compilation or collection, but everything else I really thought was surprising and fun. But how about you guys?
I love that everything's coming so soon. Like the 3D All-Stars collection is 2 weeks away. What?
Yeah, I forgot a key one too. Super Mario 35, baby. It's like Tetris 99, but with Mario now, and 35 players instead of 99. Sorry, had to get that in there. But yeah.
I wish they elaborated a bit more on 3D World, because there's some key things in there which they showed off, but they didn't actually talk about. So one of them is there's online in this game, which, what does that mean? Is it leaderboard, or is it multiplayer? If it is multiplayer, is it better than Mario Maker 2's online? Hopefully.
That's really low bar.
We also picked up that this game's a lot faster than the original. So the original game was quite sluggish, like it would take a while to build up to your top speed. You hold down the run button, it has like a second tier run, which takes a while. And the characters, every single one of them is so much faster than the original. I'd say it's maybe 30% faster. It's a big speed boost. And then they also have Bowser's Fury, which they kind of teased. But if you look at the level environment, it kind of looks open. Like, they have one big overarching layer, and then there's just a bunch of stuff around the camera. So that looks really different to what 3D World's usually designed like.
It kind of makes sense, too. We had a small taste of a more open world with the Savannah level in 3D World. But I wonder if they were constrained by the hardware, perhaps. It may not have been a factor, I don't know. But on the Switch, they obviously have more horsepower to work with, so maybe they're able to do more now than they could in the original. And it is fun to see them potentially exploring a broader scope with 3D World's gameplay.
I just wonder, like, what is the breadth of the new content we're looking at here? Is it just new levels? Is it a new playable character? Who knows? I'm actually really surprised that this game isn't arriving till February. I really thought this would be later this year, to be perfectly honest. Not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, and we don't really know what else Nintendo has got going on for the rest of the year, other than Pikmin 3 Deluxe and now 3D All-Stars. But I have to say that a February release was pretty shocking.
It's a pretty stacked 2020 now with all this Mario stuff, though. I think we can forgive one of them sliding.
Yeah, I'll give them a little credit, though. I had to go back, and they didn't say this in the Direct, but in the press release, Nintendo did mention that 3D World will have online co-op. So the online play will actually be online multiplayer, which I'm willing to wait a little extra time for.
That is, again, with Nintendo Online, it's always, you never really know what you're going to get, right? But if it is done well, the idea of actually true co-op online for 3D World is actually really exciting to me.
That's a game changer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would actually play multiplayer this time, so...
Same, yeah, same.
Regarding February, too, I mean, if this has got Bowser's Fury and it's like new levels and stuff, that's probably the hardest thing to develop out of all of this. So you got to give them a little bit of time during these times working at home, too.
Also, interestingly, I'm reading through the press release as we're talking about this. There's also a Cat Mario and Cat Peach amiibo coming out at the same time with 3D World.
Why wasn't this all in the Direct?
What? That wasn't shown anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that suggests some sort of potentially new content could be locked behind these amiibo, or maybe it'll just be, here's a free mushroom, or here's a free cat bell when could be something really lame like that. But maybe there's some sort of content exclusive to those amiibo. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm less curious to see how they would interact with 3D World, and more curious to see if Bowser's Fury would introduce some kind of new element that works with those.
Right. I have to say, for me, the true surprise and delight of this Direct for me, even beyond 3D All-Stars, was Super Mario 35. That, to me, I mean, I've gone on record saying, John, you know especially, I'm terrible at Tetris 99. I will play the hell out of Super Mario 35. I will take on all challengers. I will be losing so much productivity to this game. I love the idea of a 2D Mario platformer battle royale game like that. I'm all in on this.
You have until March. You have until March, and then you can never play this game again.
Right,
See?
so that's the thing, right? Like, on its face, this Direct was really cool, and I do think that. But then you get into the details. It's like what you just said, John, and some of it's just like, what are they thinking? It's a very Nintendo approach that they're taking with some of this stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like Nintendo likes to get your hype really high and then just punch a hole in it to watch you deflate slowly. Because Super Mario 35 sounds like a game I could pick up for years. Like, just, every now and then run a match and enjoy it, and then just to think that it's only 5 months and then it's gone for seemingly no reason.
Well, they're just thinking of Ash and his productivity, right? They know he has to start working again in the next fiscal year, so...
Yeah.
Do you think they could be doing seasons? So, like, this season ends, on to Mario 3. Next season, Mario World. Maybe this isn't just a travesty they're going to just, like, give us and then drop. Hopefully, this continues.
My thought is that they could replace it with possibly a Zelda 35, or its 35th anniversary next year.
Metroid 35 and Ice Climber 35.
But the weird thing is that this limited time thing also apparently extends to 3D All-Stars itself. Which, what? There's no way Nintendo's going to leave money on the table like that.
I don't buy that.
No
way.
Exactly. So what is that about? Yeah.
Maybe a special edition with Galaxy 2?
Maybe. The wording's really strange. So the physical edition is undoubtedly going to stop being sold in March. And maybe that's to do with COVID? I don't know. But the wording also includes digital, and it's really unclear whether it's both of them. Like, are they just going to stop selling the games entirely in March? And if so, why? Why would you do that?
Yeah, it's really
that's
bizarre.
leaving money on the table, clearly. And it's like, it's not going to be a price change because we already know it's $60. So they're not going to raise it from that. So, like, what? I don't buy it. I don't buy that they're only going to sell this collection for a few months. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but it doesn't matter because we're buying it.
He doesn't buy it, we'll buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the weirdest things about the 35th anniversary collection, or sorry, the 3D All-Stars, I guess, is that it lacks Galaxy 2, which is rumored, and we were expecting it because of that. It's still a weird omission. It doesn't make it any less weird at this point. And two, I really am disappointed that these seem to be minimal effort ports. Unless there's some stuff they're not telling us about, but they don't even appear to be up to the level of the Wii U ports of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. And while they do seem to hold up by and large, like Sunshine still looks surprisingly good, and Galaxy, I just replayed Galaxy 2 a few months ago, it still looked fine, and that seems to be the case for Galaxy 1. But Mario 64 I'm especially disappointed in. That's a game that could really use some touching up. Not even being in widescreen is pretty surprising, honestly. And especially in an age now where we've seen that port on PC where they've rebuilt the entire game with better visuals, widescreen, some really cool mods, and this one just just comes up short. It just looks bad.
All I noticed was the HUD was a bit clearer. It seems they used some smoothing on like Mario's icon or something, but they didn't even comment whether it's 60 FPS or not. That's kind of the bare minimum I expected. I mean, the bare minimum I expected was widescreen. We don't have that.
Same.
So
yeah,
that was a letdown.
Guys,
I mean,
well, I was going to say Bright Side, not based on the DS one, so...
that is true.
I mean,
that is true.
Good point.
But unfortunately, this does feel as though Nintendo's just going, hey, it's Mario 64, it's Mario 64, so people are going to take what they can get because it's, an incredible game.
Right.
People love it. But I do wish, I felt like the bare minimum at least would have been widescreen support. That's just, I wasn't expecting new textures and everything, nothing like that. But just widescreen. That is a little deflating, I have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because they are in fact using the All-Stars name, and that did carry a certain weight before, seemingly, in which it had 4 games. It remade all of them with updated visuals. They looked like 16-bit games when they were done with them, and they were all 8-bit originally. and that isn't the case here at all. So they're just using the name for. It feels like it didn't earn it.
It's a missed opportunity, but it's still a really cool collection though. Like 64 Sunshine Galaxy in one pack. That's still something that's great. But
given that, especially given that Sunshine hasn't been re-released in any form.
Yeah, I
since
think
its
the big
original.
thing for me is if this wasn't releasing in just 2 weeks, I would be massively disappointed in it. I'm excited that these are coming so quickly after announcement, but I agree, Andre. I feel like, when they showed Mario 64 and there's just a huge black void around it on all sides in the frickin' direct, I was like, oh god, like we don't even get a border. And
At first we were live reacting. I thought I had it set up incorrect. I'm like, where's this border from?
Yeah, there's a lot of things, and it's really hard to make excuses for Nintendo on 64 specifically because thanks to the leak, we know that they didn't lose the source code for Mario. They have it. Yeah. Other people have it too. and we know that it took some amateur programmers about a day of work to get it running in widescreen 60 FPS. So, if the people that made the game didn't do it, it really just speaks to the fact that like John was saying, it's like, this is Mario 64. You get what you get, or maybe that was you. It's still early, but...
One thing I did appreciate, though, is that we did see the cursor in Mario Galaxy moving as if it were being held, as if it were controlled by someone's hand. So that suggests they are using gyro controls, which is the thing I was afraid of how they would handle, and that seems to be the best solution.
But then why couldn't they do that with Yoshi in Galaxy 2? Like, why couldn't they do that in Galaxy 2?
Exactly.
That just makes me think, like, why not, though?
Yeah, I've still got a question to ask, though. How does handheld mode work for Galaxy? Do we just move... Is it still gyro-controlled? Or that's going to be really awkward to be on a bus or something.
They'll probably... They may offer the right stick as a possible solution.
Maybe. That's what I'm thinking, maybe right stick.
They already did for a port in China on the... I forget what the hardware was.
On the NVIDIA Shield, right.
Or the Shield, that's it,
Yeah, and I imagine they'll have some sort of button-based mechanic for the spin move instead of just shaking, shaking the controller, shaking the system. Probably just map it to a button now.
Right.
Going back to Mario 64 for a second, perhaps a possible consolation prize would be maybe there are different display modes, so maybe we'll at least get the option to stretch
they will have
the
shown.
image. Which still isn't great.
I don't
stretch
it.
I don't want to stretch it either. I don't either. But maybe they'll at least offer that. But I hear you. It's not at all what we want.
No.
Yeah.
Imagine how big that penguin's going to be, Ash.
Oh my god.
The 120 star version of the penguin. Good point.
Yeah.
So even with that being a letdown, like I'll still play it. I still want to revisit those games. I purposely avoided playing Mario Galaxy for this purpose, and it will look better than ever being in 1080p widescreen. Well, it was in widescreen before, but still a good way to revisit these games, even if it's not to the level I was somewhat hoping it would be. But I will say I was really surprised with some of the other things here. I think we already touched on Mario 35. Actually, bring it back to that point real quick. I want to stress, like, this was a huge surprise to me. I'm really excited for it. In my mind, if I were to make a Mario Battle Royale, I was hoping it would all be like in the same environment, like we've seen, like you're like just some crazy battle race thing where you can throw fireballs at people, just complete chaos. That's not the case. Everyone seems to be in their own instanced game, much as how Tetris 99 works. But it felt more natural there, and a little bit less so here. But I'm sure it'll still be fun, and I'm excited for it, especially because it is free, basically. And the Mario Kart Live, whatever it's called, that's a shock. That looks so fun.
Yeah.
I do wonder about its longevity. I don't know if it's more of a novelty or not, but it seems like just a fun way of adding more to a typical RC car, where you can play in these actual Mario Kart races on your Switch with a real-life component. And that's just an idea I wouldn't have thought Nintendo would ever explore.
So
that's Toys to
really
Life done
thing.
right.
Yeah.
Like there are so many Toys to Life where you just scan in a figure, then you put the figure to the side, and then never use it again. This is actually taking a toy, integrating it into a game, and doing it with some actually interesting elements. I think this. If I was a kid, I'd be all over this, and I'm still all over this.
Yeah.
Before
On
we
the
get
other
too
hand, though, I
far
bet
into
every
discussing-
parent watching that stream was just like, "Oh my god, I can never let my kid know about this."
Right.
Before we get too deep into this, I do have some additional facts that I don't think they shared in the direct for Mario Kart Live Home Circuit.
Sure.
It's going to be $100, and apparently
What?
there's two different sets. There's a Mario set and a Luigi set.
Luigi. Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't say what's in those, but yeah. I mean, they did show a Mario Kart and a Luigi Kart.
Oh,
And
I missed that.
I'll be honest, I kind of expected this to be around $100.
I did too. That actually doesn't
I
sound
guess.
unreasonable.
Because you're
Fair
getting
enough,
an
I
RC
guess.
car with a webcam attached that has some wireless component that talks to the Switch.
Well, and
So-
they have to be doing some kind of mapping in order to have those tracks represented accurately in the game.
Right.
So it's
Those
probably
tracks
more
have to be more than just like cardboard. It's a little more advanced than like a Labo kit, and those already hover in the $80 to $100 range,
Right.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess when you lay it out like that, I don't know if I'd be willing to pay $100 for that. As cool as it is, I just don't know if I would be.
I've
I'll
already
be
decided
honest.
that I am.
Yeah, fair enough.
I will too, even if I expect to play it for like a day and that shit. But
That's the thing.
I've been
yeah.
looking at this, and I've been trying to get my kids, more into games and kind of share my love of the hobby with them. And I think this is a great entry point. Like, this is a simple, easy to grasp concept, and the thing I like about it, specifically as a parent, is that it does not look very hard to set up. Like, you lay the four points for the track anywhere in the room, and then you set down the car, and I'm sure it's a little more complicated than that, but they made it look real easy.
Yeah.
it has to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
So that's good. I'm glad to see that. Trying to think of what else? No, I guess that's it.
There's like
we
the,
got
the
two
apparel
new
and
characters in
stuff.
Mario Kart Tour. We got the Super
God.
Nintendo sprite.
I do
for
like that,
Mario
though.
and Donkey Kong.
Those are cute. Doesn't make
I
me
I
any
will say that
better,
was
but-
like the single coolest thing I've seen in Mario Kart Tour so far was that
Yeah.
little bit. That's like the yeah.
And we've
So-
got the Game & Watch.
The Game &
And
Watch
the
looks
Game &
cool.
Watch is
Yeah,
just
that looks like. I mean, I want it. It's cute. I'll probably barely play it, to be honest, but I like
Yeah.
it. I think it is a neat novelty, especially with it being in color, like running these games in high fidelity. And it has some neat bonuses. I mentioned there's apparently 35 Easter eggs on the clock for their 35th anniversary. They have the Mario version of Ball, which I think may have been. We saw something similar in the Game & Watch collections, and they can get 2 games in there. So neat stuff.
Yeah, you have
there-
to try to get it. Otherwise, it's going to be like $200 later on. Like, I'll be in Japan at Super Potato, like, $250.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of those things that I look at and I immediately think this is going to be worth a lot more than they're charging for it a few
Yeah.
years down the road. It's $50.
Yeah,
which-
that's actually fairly reasonable.
Yeah,
for-
I honestly imagine I'll pick up 2, like one to keep in the box and one to play with.
Something else that might also be worth more than what you're paying for them when you get them is the return of these My Nintendo rewards. You can actually earn pins for like Mario 35th anniversary pins by doing My Nintendo challenges, and it's been years since
Yeah.
we've had anything meaningful available through My Nintendo rewards. So you can collect the whole set, maybe turn those around for a nice little profit too.
Good point.
Yeah.
I want to bring it back real quick to Bowser's Fury. We didn't really touch on the title at all. Do we think... I mean, obviously it's going to involve Bowser seemingly in a larger way than before, and I wonder if that's why we're seeing a larger environment. What if Bowser is playable in some of these stages? Do you think he might take on more of a active role this time?
Maybe. Like, we see Cat Mario, so we know
We do,
the
yeah.
core cast is probably still playable in this. But playable Bowser, maybe.
Maybe.
Not
That
way
would
different
be
to the other
dream.
characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the name Bowser's Fury does suggest that maybe he will be playable, or perhaps it is just like a little add-on, component, just like a little add-on. I hesitate to say story component because it's a Mario game, but yeah, like an
Oh, I
add-on
mean, that's
little-
what I think it is. I mean, this
Yeah.
this seems to be a second adventure, basically, along the lines of
Right.
the Mario and Luigi games.
Right.
Unfortunately, in those cases,
Yeah, like a
those-
semi-sequel.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So if he's not playable, I think he will take a more active role, at least in the gameplay. Perhaps he chases you around at points. Maybe you encounter him multiple times in the game. But yeah, I am expecting something like significant involving Bowser based on this title. And that excites me. That seems fun. So
We
Yeah,
need
maybe-
more Meowser.
yes.
Meowser. You do go up to a shrine in that trailer, so maybe either you have points where you go there and then you play as Bowser for a bit, or you go to that shrine and it's like Saberwolf, and you go to a point in the level, then you activate the shrine and you have to run away from Bowser back to the beginning or something like that.
Yeah. That could work. Any final thoughts, guys, about Mario's 35th anniversary?
Just to mention that there are a couple of special events they announced going on in their various games like Mario Maker 2, Smash Ultimate, and Splatoon 2. We're getting a Splatfest, for example.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool that they're kind of
cool.
extending the celebration to every major, game as a service, essentially living game they have on their Switch.
Yeah, they're going all out for it, and that's fun to see.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo doesn't often go all in on these anniversaries. They just ignore them. Like Donkey Kong Country's 25th, for instance.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think
exactly.
It was a really solid presentation, I feel like. The Switch has been pretty barren, apart from Pikmin 3 coming up, and they've just gone and filled the schedule. A lot of it's coming really soon, too. There's stuff to be disappointed about. I wish Mario 35 was just an ever-growing game, and it sounds like it won't be. But it still looks like something I really want to play, and I love the idea of like sending enemies to other players. Like that feels like a great extension of the Mario gameplay. And yeah, I mean, I can't wait for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I can't either. It is funny though that you said that they're filling the schedule, but again, these are largely ports. The 3D Collections ports, the Game & Watch are ports. The Mario Kart game is basically new, and then we have the Mario 35, which is technically new, is based on an old game. So it is weird how this year it seems to be the year of just old stuff, but in new, fun ways.
I guess if you
Yeah.
want to consider it from the angle of Paper Mario Origami King just recently releasing, that's obviously entirely new. But
And
again,
Animal
Paper
Crossing.
Mario is also considered its own thing in a way, so it kind of counts and doesn't count at the same time.
Yeah, all in all, I'd have to say this is the first Direct in a while that I came away feeling positive about.
Yeah, same here.
Regardless of the fact that it is, rehashes or re-releases of old stuff, it still was nice to see Mario get his due like this year. And to be fair, I think again, like I said, getting 3 3D Mario games announced to be coming out in 2 weeks is really big. It does a lot to leave me feeling hyped. Like I'm excited now because I know 2 Thursdays from now I'll be playing, 3 Mario games that are among my favorites.
I said during the stream, I'm actually looking forward to revisiting Mario Sunshine just to see whether my impression has changed over the years. And it does. There are elements of the trailer I'm like, oh yeah, I remember some parts of it being fun, so we'll see.
You needed to warn a guy before that, Andre. I was streaming with you, and suddenly you just dropped this bomb. I'm excited to actually revisit Sunshine after all these years and how much you hate
mostly
this game.
to vindicate my impression of it, to see if it continues to hold.
Fair enough.
It's funny too, like a lot of people didn't believe these games existed. I mean, up until now, we've had so many comments saying like this is a fake rumor, these games aren't happening. I think that just kind of speaks to the value of this. Like Nintendo just don't do games like this very often, so the fact it does exist and we'll be playing them so soon, that's kind of crazy.
I'm just gonna say, I think we just have such high expectations for what we would like and hopes, but yeah, the collection, just having it is really nice. And instead of maybe like a min-max type thing where it's like top heavy on All Stars, Nintendo did a much more sort of balanced approach with a bunch of different neat things and some neat surprises. So.
I was gonna say though, John, to your point that we had a whole hopes video for the 3D All Stars. I don't think a single one came true. We had 10 hopes.
It existing came true.
It existing is the only thing that was accurate. Yep.
I do like there's a soundtrack mode. That was a nice surprise.
I mean,
I didn't expect that.
It's
really.
nice. We can get those on YouTube now too.
I mean,
so.
for sure, it's not necessary. I just like that they're highlighting it.
I really wish we would have gotten art instead of soundtracks. Like you said, Andre, the soundtracks are available everywhere, but Nintendo is really guarded with concept art and stuff like that from their classic games. And the few things we have seen that they've released over the decades have always been immensely cool to look at. So I would have loved it if they just kind of threw the doors open on that and said, let's put out all the art we created during the time that we were working on these games. That to me would be far more interesting than the soundtracks.
Why not both?
Time to get greedy too. Like instead of just having the soundtracks, have re-orchestrated soundtracks.
Yeah.
Give us something that's more than just rich from the game.
That would have been exciting. That's something we had hoped for in our video.
I was going to suggest that if I had gotten to do that video with you guys, like the things we want to see most, that was going to be one of my contributions, but I didn't actually expect it. Really quick, while we're on the subject of 3D All Stars, I was just thinking the whole only being available for 6 months thing. I wonder if what they're suggesting is that after the 6 months, they're going to sell them individually instead.
Oh,
That's
for
a
like
possibility.
a $10 markup, maybe $30.
that would be
make
the most
sense.
Nintendo move
Yeah,
of all.
I wonder if that's what it is.
Super
should just
Mario
say that.
3D temporary All Stars.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we can make theories about this, but they should just say it. Like why be so weird about this?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they know that it would sound bad.
If you put a time limit on it, it encourages people to buy it right away. So
I guess.
My theory is that it's just poor wording. the press release, like I was mentioning to John earlier, only mentions the physical edition. It doesn't make any mention of the digital being a limited release. So I think somebody at Nintendo just hit the copy paste a little too liberally with that. I'd be shocked if it was taken down from the eShop after 5 months.
I don't know but even pulling it physically doesn't make sense for Nintendo. Like,
but they were also very careful in the Direct itself to say that the physical was a limited run. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but they definitely very clearly said it.
Yeah, could be then. So, all right,
Yeah.
1 to 10, what do you give this? 8 for me.
8 seems fair.
I'm gonna stick with a 7.5 for me, I think.
Yeah, I'm going 7.5.
Yeah, I've grown a little bit fonder of it. I grew up a little bit fonder of it during the stream.
I would give it an 8.5, only because the Game & Watch really threw me for a loop, and Mario 35, I think, alone pushes it over the edge for me.
Mario Kart 2.
Yeah, exactly. I think Mario Kart was a really fun. I was really shocked to see that. I was so confused initially. I'm like, okay, it's Mario Kart, but it's an RC car. And I'm like, are they just like playing this up for the commercial? I'm like, oh no, it's actually like an augmented reality thing. That's super cool. So what I liked about this Direct is it kept me surprised. Like, there were all kinds of things I didn't expect at all, and that was fun. The only letdown for me was at the end with the star of the show being All Stars, just being that is just a very. I mean, it's weird that I'm still excited for it, but I already own these games, and I have an HDMI adapter for my Wii U, or for my Nintendo 64, so even Mario 64 isn't going to look that much better to me, I think, in this port. So that's the biggest letdown, that these are all games I already own, but I am happy for those who don't own them and want to revisit them, and I will revisit them on this collection, but it will be the definitive way to play most of them, so...
And you'll have them portable. Yeah, they're all portable now, too.
Portable, yep, even though I never played them that way. But,
yeah.
So with that, I think we're about done here. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to click the subscribe button and ring that bell for tons more on this Mario 35th Anniversary Direct. I'm sure we're not done covering it, and everything else on Nintendo as well, including covering all of this once it actually comes out. So, including possibly the Mario All-Stars Super Nintendo game on Nintendo Switch Online today. We may be checking it out a little bit later. So thanks, everyone. Catch you later. Bye.